business and PR in general that are already making 60 grand at working at a firm. And I'm like, man, God, I would have done this. But you know what? At the end of the day, they don't like their job as much as I do. They haven't at this point had an opportunity, which I do a year later, to go work a Super Bowl. They don't have anything like that. They get their weekends off. I don't, but I get to do a lot more cool things than they do. They're driving like Maseratis and stuff. I don't have that. I still have my little Honda Accord. It's fine. It's a great car. I still have a new Honda Accord. I love Honda, so I'm faithful. Not the same one. I got a new one. So anyway, you know, I'm looking at that. I get the internship. I do it. 07. I'm on the sidelines during a Cowboys game. Dallas Cowboys game. Are you kidding me? I'm on the sideline grabbing Tony Romo to do an interview, grabbing Jason Witten, grabbing DeMarcus Ware. I had shake voice, I think, like the first couple times. Mr. Witten, can you do this? Eventually you get used to it. It's weird, you know, 6'8" guys. Hey, can you do this? Yeah, no problem. Okay. So doing that goes by 7, 8. I volunteer at Super Bowl in Tampa. It's the Pittsburgh, Arizona game. I get to Tampa Bay for that Super Bowl. I applied a little late because I also did an internship with, we used to have an arranged football team called the Dallas Desperados. Did that, loved it, traveled everywhere with them. We would, you know, it was a lot of fun doing the same stuff that I'm doing, but just gaining that experience. So I got there a little late. I get there and at the media center, and there's other people, other interns or other people that are trying to get a job in sports like me, and they kind of have their position because they applied earlier than I did. So I'm sitting there for the first day and a half. I'm not gonna lie, I sulked. I was like, man, nothing to do, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here, I guess I'll just kind of hang out. I had a credential, but nothing to do, I kind of walked around. And I finally just kicked myself, I was like, what are you doing? Like, just get up off your you know what, and go, like, make yourself useful. So I went up to our quote team, again, this is going back to Southern Miss when I volunteered for the quote team, and the head guy was the head PR guy at the time for the Miami Dolphins. I said, I'd like to be on your quote team. He goes, well, we're kind of full right now. You know, I said, well, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, just, you know, I just want to let you know I'm here. So, okay, we don't have anything today, check me tomorrow. Next day I come to him bright and early, 7 a.m. I'm like, hey, I'm back. What can I do? It's like, I'll let you know in a little bit. They have roll call at like 9 a.m. for all the people. Now they would go to either Pittsburgh or Arizona's practice, and you would get the quotes like we've done before. So one of the guys didn't show up. I don't know if he had a hangover or what. I don't know, whatever it was, it happened. So he goes, hey, we got a spot. You want to do it? Yes, sir, I'm on. I do it. You come back, you type all the stuff. I was one of the fastest. Got done. He's like, okay, really good, really good. He said, let's do it again tomorrow. So the rest of the week ended up doing that. Well, he had to whittle down to about 12 people by the end. We had about 20 people. He had to whittle down to his best 12 for either the AFC or NFC team. I made the cut. So at the end, he goes, each of you, we're sitting there, okay, this is Super Bowl. And we're sitting there at the end, and I don't know if it's probably too young for you guys too, but it's going back and forth Arizona and Pittsburgh at the end, like who's going to win the game, right? So it's 2-minute warning. We're down like in the tunnel area, about to go in the field. Now the winning team, whoever has the winning team, you run out there to get quotes. The losing team, you stay back and you get where all the players are set up for their media availability. So literally we're going back and forth. We have field passes. We're swapping with the Arizona people. I have Pittsburgh. We're going back and forth, going to get it. Well, here comes the end, and he's like assigning people. It's like, okay, you have Ben Roethlisberger, and you have this guy, blah, blah, blah. He looks at me, and he goes, you have Santonio Holmes. I'm like, okay. So, so here I am, you know, it's like at the end, and the Arizona people still have the passes. They think they're going to win. Well, Pittsburgh goes down last second. Santonio Holmes toe drops, catches the ball, wins the game on that game-winning catch. That's my guy. I'm like, holy, you know what? I'm like, what am I gonna do? So we run out there in the field, and in the madness, you saw it probably the national championship, and you saw it from some of the other games, the media runs in the field. I'm looking for number 10. So he's just getting mobbed by people, and I finally find him. I go up to him, I was like, hey, Santonio, how you doing? I'm with the NFL. I've got to stay with you to get closer to me. He's just like, I was like, okay, just follow me. So that was my first experience at Super Bowl, as I got to do that on the field, a big Super Bowl, game-winning touchdowns, amazing. It's like exhilarating. And I'll never forget beforehand, the PR guys who'd been, you know, the upper echelon PR guys were like, this is an experience you're going to love, you're going to enjoy. This is what football is all about. You're going to feel part of it. And I did, and I remember that experience to this day. And I went on, I've worked 2 other Super Bowls, and I've been to 2 as a fan. So that happens. I'm still an intern when I come back to Cowboys. So every year I apply for a different position. I'm like, I'll apply to Philly or New York, whatever. I don't care. I'll go to whatever team is Cleveland, wherever. And it sucks being Cleveland, but I'll do it, you know. So I'm willing to go wherever, and nothing. And every year my boss, Rich Dalrymple, who's been with the team for 28 seasons, he came in when Jimmy Johnson took over as head coach years ago and stayed, obviously, with Jerry. He was like, look, you're doing a good job. You can stay as long as you want. And I felt like I needed to move on, but I was like, I have nothing else. I'll stay. I wasn't making good money. Here I am, 24, 25, 26. So 2010 season, so we get the Super Bowl in February 2011 at our place. I'd been volunteering with our corporate communications guy at the time to do anything at the stadium. It's like the first arches are going up. Okay, I'm there, whatever you need. I'm sloshing through the mud like to help set up a podium somewhere where and then rolling out something the media can stand at. Just like thankless jobs. I'm setting up the backdrop for some autograph signing that Emmett's doing. Whatever, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So Super Bowl comes and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and my boss takes me. So here, come with me. He marched me into Charlotte Jones Anderson's office. You guys know who Charlotte Jones Anderson is? Okay. If you don't, she's one of Jerry's children. She's a chief brand officer for the Cowboys. She's also in charge of the cheerleaders. She's in charge of our community involvement with Salvation Army, the Gene and Jerry Jones Foundation. Again, all this is in the media guide, it's in your Bible. And so sits me down in her office and says, Joe's going to run point with all your media parties. I was like, I'm going to do what? I mean, yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, okay. What the heck I'm doing with that? So there's 3 parties that the Joneses had, or the Cowboys, during that Super Bowl week. The first one was the NFL Owners Party, Commissioners Party. That was at the stadium. And basically, for that, what we had to do is set up a backdrop, and as the guests were arriving, whether it's NFL owners or like former players or the commissioner, our job would be to grab them and say, Mr. Commissioner, would you please speak to the media right here? Yeah, no problem. By the way, the commissioner of the NFL, like him or not, was a PR intern for the New York Jets. So again, it works out for PR. So he goes over, does his interview, blah, blah, blah. So I was doing that in the cold, freezing my butt off, but I'm willing to do it, work that party. That's really cool. Second party was a fashion show. I don't know squat about fashion, I really don't. I mean, I wish I could say I did, I don't. There was a fashion show of a brand that Charlotte, there's a guitarist for Bon Jovi, is it Sambora? Richie Sambora. And he had some line called White Trash Beautiful. I don't know. Celebrities are weird, just that's another story. So it was like going to have our cheerleaders modeling at a meat casino in Highland Park, and you're going to do all the press for it. Like they come in, they ask for interviews, like you handle that. I don't know what entertainment and all that stuff is. I don't handle those guys. I handle sports guys. All right, fine, I'll do it. We get there, everything's going fine. I'm bringing Charlotte around with different media people, interviewing about the party and interviewing about this and that. Everything's going great. Oh, this is awesome, great fashion show. Looking forward to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. We're turning to walk away, and someone from E! Entertainment goes, hey, I just saw that there's ice that just slid up the stadium and it like hit a stadium worker. Can you comment about this? Like, no, she's not going to talk about that. We're going to move away from that. Things kind of happen like that very quickly. She's like, oh, that was good. Okay. Last party was at House of Blues. This is the big one. This is the one that everybody tried to get into. People on that red carpet were like Hugh Jackman, probably way too young for you guys. Naughty by Nature was there. It's a good rap group. Never mind. Ashton Kutcher was there, Demi Moore, yada yada. All these celebrities come through House of Blues. I'm working, again, the red carpet. You can remember there's an ice storm and a snowstorm this week. I'm just freezing my butt up the whole time. Out there in the cold, as all these guys are going through, I'm checking them in, plus allowing the media, like you see any red carpet, to get interviews or take pictures out of it. I'm helping set that up. Again, all this stuff I never could imagine myself doing, but I just jumped into it because I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to publicly relate. What the heck? Why not? Why can't it be me? Okay. Just worked out, and I got repetition after repetition, just like sports or music or anything else. So still, this is going on, and it's like, oh, it's a great job. Well, I got to know Charlotte really well, and Charlotte was like, at the end of it, my boss had been trying to get me hired full-time, but there wasn't a full-time position. I'm still an intern. And she said, Joe, are you full-time? I was like, no, ma'am. She said, okay. A couple weeks later, that changed, and I became an assistant because of the work that I did, and my boss was fighting hard for me and put me in that position to succeed, and I did. Because of that, and my relationships with, a member of our ownership helped out because I busted my butt, lack of sleep, all that stuff. I did everything I had to do because this is what I love doing. I want to do the best job for it. So I'm an assistant for the next couple of years. It's great. That's 9 through 13. Kind of did the same thing, but I've always wanted to travel. I did it in Europe. I did it in arena football. I was like, man, I want to do this. I want to do this. So at this point, I realized probably not going to happen. So I started working all stadium events with Brett Daniels, used to be our guy in charge of corporate stuff. So I worked soccer games, I worked concerts, I worked all the dirt events, monster truck, the motorcycle races, all that stuff. I did everything, and I worked Super Bowl, like I said, and Final Fours, and you name it. Pretty much every major event in the stadium I've done at some point, way form. I mean, it's anything from like a Super Bowl. My job was, because I knew the stadium, to get people somewhere. Like Harrison Ford, the only time I flipped out about a celebrity, Harrison Ford needed to be taken from his spot to Jerry's suite. And I'm a massive Star Wars geek, so the whole time I was like, oh my God, this is Han Solo. You know, this is big for me. I had to contain myself. It was really hard. But anyway, so you do all this stuff, and I feel like I'm ready, but still there's not a position available. So I started applying. Again, each year I applied to all 30 teams that I hadn't worked for. Still nothing. So I started getting involved in soccer. I did soccer events. Didn't know squat about soccer. Now I love it. Worked a bunch of stuff for CONCACAF. A lot of Gold Cups. I went to Seattle and ran the press operations by myself. Did probably the worst job I've ever done in my life with anything. Then the soccer people were like, oh, you did great. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's like horrible. And I was like, no, you did better than like normal soccer people. So I guess I did okay. But I tried. I jumped at it. I tried it. Well, because of that experience, I started getting offers for MLS teams, which I almost took. Flash forward to 2013. I'm going to leave the Orlando Soccer Club, and they were like, hey, we want you. The money was really good. We want you to be the director. I was about to take it. My boss was like, hold up just a second. Someone had left above me in the spot that I always wanted, and he says, I can't give you what they're offering, but if you finally get your office, you're traveling, I'll continue to raise your pay. And also, there's other things I'm going to have you do as it goes on. Just trust me. And he'd been loyal to me the whole time, so I did it and took that gig, and I haven't really looked back. Plus, I probably would have been fired from the Orlando job. That's a different thing because they went with different management. But soccer's always there, and that's what he told me. So, point is I've gone down the road. I've acquired things by doing a job that I love that I wasn't sure about. So what I kind of want you guys to think about is you're seniors and you're just like, man, I just want to graduate and get out. I want to get out of this class. I'm hungry, whatever. Is anybody that you meet, whether it's me, look me up, send emails, autograph cards. You never know, because what happened with Cam was we were literally scrambling for an intern, and HR thought that they could just bring in their own people who knew nothing about sports. We do need people who know sports. When I asked the guys, okay, look, during a game, I may ask you who's our starters on defense. I need to know who's playing right in. He had no clue. Who's our starting middle linebacker? Had no clue. Who's starting on two cornerbacks or safety positions? Had no clue. So you don't have to be, all over the sports, but at least knowledgeable about the sport. But we need you. And he became, again, as a freshman at Collin County. And he may be back next year. We'll see what happens. He's trying to apply to A&M. But did a great job. Loved football. Loved what he wanted to do. So you look at that stuff. The other thing I want to say, because there's a lot of females in here, which is great. You can work in this as well. It's not just a male-dominated sport. For us, locally, Sarah Melton, who you need to try to get in here if you haven't. Okay, thank you. Sarah Melton is the head PR person for the Dallas Mavericks, okay? She is a bad you-know-what. She's an amazing human being. She's great at her job. And she's been with the Mavs for 18 years, something like that. Amy Palchik's the head PR person for the Houston Texans. Gina Miller's the head PR person for FC Dallas. So there's a lot of women involved in this field, so don't think, oh, it's just a guy thing. It's not true. So I want to make that clear. Next thing is, whatever you guys are trying to do, if you're any interest in PR, like I said, look at those jobs. Look at jobs with, like I said, Facebook or Twitter or whatever. There's always PR jobs. That's the cool thing about PR is you can work in any field. Almost every single organization has some type of PR job. And that's what makes it neat. And the majority of it's going to be the same. You're sending out press releases. You're setting up interviews with your entities, your bosses. You're attending these cool events. Now, I don't know if you guys ever watch like Sex and the City. That's not really how PR is. It's not always going to parties. It's not like that. It's not like Entourage on the guy's side either. Sometimes, but not really. It's more of, you're grinding. I also have to say that it's early mornings, late nights. I say all the time during the season, nights, weekends, and holidays do not apply to me. I have not spent Thanksgiving with my family in 12 years. I have not spent Christmas with my family in 8 years. Not spent New Year's with my family in 12 years. I live in Atlanta. So holidays are out of the question for me. This year we worked Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. So, I mean, that's going to happen. So right now I was like, yes, MLK, I finally get off a weekend. I'm so super excited to finally get a holiday. So understand that too. Baseball, basketball, it's even worse. At least for our sport, it's once a week. Okay, so if I'm traveling every other weekend or a home game, that's 16 weeks. 20 weeks including preseason. That's it. Plus hopefully playoffs. So that's what you dedicate your life. So I tell people from July until January, February, that's what I'm doing. My friends know that. I'm barely going to see you. Don't plan a wedding during this time because I ain't going to be able to go. I got a game to go to. That's just the way it is. My dating life kind of sucks for that too, but I'm not going to get into that. It's a different story. So. Anyway, so that's the majority of what it is. Also understand, a lot of kids your age, you get out of this, you go to college, think, I want to work in sports and work at Cowboys. I'm going to make a lot of money coming out. It's not true. You're not. You got to work your way up. I think my first internship with the Lions, I was making like something ridiculous. Like, I think for the total internship, it was like 10 grand, maybe 8 grand, something like that. And I lived with one of my other interns with me. So it's everybody wants your spot. There's people that will do what I do right now for free. So anyway, just want to point that out. Real quickly before I get to questions, I'll show you this real quick. Mr. Friedrich, if you would, if you just click on the weekly packet, okay, what you have, click on, yeah, you're already here. Go to the game notes right here. Okay, so this is what I was talking about before when it pops up. Basically, it's what we send out to the media every week in terms of our stat stuff. So each week is going to have all of our staff information here, how, what our record is against the opponent, what a win will do if we win, where you can hear it or see the game, our weekly schedule in terms of like locker room availability for the media. If we have conference calls, if you scroll down, we did a whole thing about Mr. Jones. He went to the Hall of Fame, so we broke down all of his accolades. This next page, we always have like a colorful, this was from last year, all the records that Dak and Zeke broke. We get to do all that. So again, as the media is reading that, it feels really good because you've worked a long time to do that. These are various milestones that happened last season in terms of where we ranked, what records we broke. And as you scroll down, the other stuff, it's just more notes and notes and notes and notes, and then you keep going more. And then basically, it's just these little boxes, and every sport does this. Little trends, you can make funny little box names, and then people can look at this that they'll use during the week. So give you a little basis of what we do with that. I'm in charge of this. I spend a lot of once the game's over with, Mondays and Tuesdays doing that. If we have a Monday night game though, I lose a day, so I'm up 24 hours straight trying to finish that because every team needs that out by Tuesday afternoon. So
that's a 45-page document.
Yeah. So I have to update that every week. Now we do have help within our staff, so like Cam was doing stuff with us. So if you're an intern, you'd be helping out with us, which is big, doing different stats and things. So again, this is kind of majority of what you do. That, in terms of publications, that and the media guide, and then any releases. So the other stuff I do, by the way, is anything with the Star in the stadium. I serve as a liaison for that. So I work the Cotton Bowl, I work National Championship, I work all this stuff that's been unveiled. I'm sure you guys have been to the Star, obviously. The restaurant openings and the hotel and all that stuff in terms of ribbon cutting. I write some speaking points for the Jones family. So all of them get to speak at this event. Each one of them has different aspects of the Star that they specialize in. So I get to handle that, and also interview requests from someone like a Frisco Community Impact paper wants to talk about. Chad Estes, our VP of Business Development, in terms of how much space is being used, how much more do you have, you're leasing this space out to this, you just signed an e-gaming company. So you get to, like I said, dibble and dabble and everything. So again, there's PR, that's stat side in sports. There's corporate communications, which is more the facilities and the events that happen either at a stadium or your home base. There's also community relations, which is if you like to help our community relations team takes our guys to hospitals and daycares, and does a lot of stuff, helps guys with their ability to give back to the community. So there's all different aspects of that as well. So, yeah, that's enough, and I need to breathe. So, do you guys have any questions?
I think you covered it all. Do you have any inside scoop on D-Law's on his free agency?
I talked to him this weekend. I haven't bumped into him, and he wants to stay, but he also wants to get paid. I don't think he's going anywhere personally. It's just my opinion. Because you can't, it's hard to find a guy that's going to get 14.5 sacks, even if it was a contract year. So I don't think he goes anywhere. Again, that's just my opinion, but I definitely think we'll keep him. There's going to be some moves because the salary cap thing, the way it works, where he loses guys. And that's the other aspect of it too, as a PR guy. You get to know these players. And some are really, really great guys, and some not so much. But if you ask me, if that's any questions, how's this guy, how's that guy? I'm always going to say, oh, he's a great guy, blah, blah, blah. I won't tell you exactly how this, if I don't like a guy, which honestly I like 99.9% of the guys on the team. They've all been great to us, but there's sometimes you'll encounter a person, just like at school, that you may not get along with, whatever else, but you still have to work with them on a personal basis. But Tank is awesome, and he's been great to work with since he came in with Zach in that draft in 14. But I really hope we keep him. I hope we will, but yeah, he's going to get paid. So, anyone else?
What's your favorite place to eat at the Star?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Cafeteria.
Yeah, so we do have our training table, so that's the kind of perks of it if you do work for the Cowboys and you're a full-time benefit employee or an intern. We get pretty much 2 squares a day, so in terms of like the breakfast bar, lunch bar, which is great. And that's what he says, man, your cafeteria's better than ours. I was like, eh. But in terms of the restaurants, the neighborhood services is great, NAMI. But I really like Connie Rosso. I live in Dallas, so like I used to go to the one in Deep Ellum,